Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode with my girl Nilem and I. Hi, Nilem.
Hey,
We are here again with Coffee Talk, bridging the gap between Generation X, which is me, and you, Nilem, who is
Millennial.
the Millennials. I remember every single time. But before we get started, I want to remind you who I am and what I do. I am Dr. Chriselle Lewis, a co-founder of United Works, which is a nonprofit that works with that teaches life coaches, have ministries for women and men. So if you want to look us up, go ahead and look us up online at www.unitedworks.org. Come say it again and slower www.unitedworks.org. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share and comment and if you like what we're talking about. So we've been getting into some interesting conversations. Our last episode we're talking about was marriage and sex and all those things, and so that was a very spicy one. And so we dived right in, and I stuttered a little bit because that Generation X we hide everything, so I stuttered, but we got through it, and Neelam gave me some grace on it. So today we're going to dive into another topic that I know is completely different from my generation for Neelam's generation, and so I'm interested to hear from her. It's actually two different topics, but they kind of the same views. So Neelam, and I already know what you think about one because I see it already. What does your generation think about tattoos and alcohol? Drinking alcohol.
Oh, good one. Okay. I know, I think it became very cliche because growing up with our parents, it was like, oh, like tattoos are from the devil and drinking is bad. Or if you see someone or someone Christian like drinking like a beer, it's like, oh no, they're sinners. They're drunks. But I feel like kind of going along with kind of like about talking about sex, it became very like looking at it from a biblical perspective, there's nothing that talks bad about it. So it's like, well, if it's not bad, then I can do it. Um, but then it's also falling on that side of I've I again I've had friends, Christian friends who they use the excuse of grace to go drinking or go partying or getting tattoos. And my personal idea, like it was something I ended up talking with my parents and praying a lot about it. Like for us, like for me and my sister, because we both have tattoos, it has to have a meaning. It has to have a purpose. Like it's not just because I like it and it's pretty, but for example, like this one is for my mom. Like she loved sunflowers and I just wanted something to remember her by. Um, but if it can be useful for me to share the gospel. And I've heard a couple of other friends who have gotten tattoos that's the case. And it's even like not verses, but like little things that if people ask them, they can be able to, oh yeah, this is like the creation or this is like the kind of the gospel like tattooed on their arm. But I know like I think growing up it was just very taboo of like it's bad. Like if you have a tattoo, it's bad. If you are found drinking, it's bad. But yeah.
Well, and it's funny. That's a beautiful tattoo, by the way. I really
Yeah,
because
thank
I
you.
saw it in a picture that you were in. I think with our friend Delia, but I couldn't tell.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love it. It's very pretty. I like the
Thank you. Thank
sunflowers.
you.
I think I'm talking from my generation, not for myself. I'm going to tell you what I
Mm,
think about it in the first place. So alcohol, absolutely not, depending on the denomination. Depending on the
okay.
denomination. So if you're a Catholic, no problem. I have lots of relatives who are Catholic, drink, and have a parties, and whatever, and that was it. No, there's no problem. But if you were back when I was growing up, if you're like Baptist or Pentecostal, things like that, they actually absolutely no drinking. And so I
Mm,
think I never growing up, like when I went to a Christian university. That was one of the things that we had to say we were not going to drink. It's like it was like put like on the same level as not having sex before marriage. It's the same thing.
mm,
And I never really thought about it because I grew up in my stepdad was alcoholic, so I never
mm,
thought about drinking. I never wanted to drink, and plus it made you gain weight. And I always struggle with my weight anyway, so I'm like I might as well eat a cookie. Who
mm,
wants to drink? But then when I started when I started to travel overseas, and I was with like as a missionary, particularly in France, I noticed that the French drank. And so I'm like, wait, I was confused. I'm like, I don't understand. They're Pentecostal. and they drink. In fact, the communion was wine. So, and I
Mm,
remember our missionary friends telling us, a missionary, not friends, but missionaries who was over up me, was saying that, okay, you guys can't drink. Like you have to just like pass the cup. And so I think that's where first thing in my mind started thinking about, well, what does the Bible actually say about this? But it
mm,
wasn't until years later, because again, I didn't drink, so I didn't. It wasn't an issue I even thought about. And so I started reading more. I'm like, the Bible doesn't say you can't drink. It's like about being drunk. And so I'm like, I'm like, so where? So to me, being drunk is the same thing as being a glutton, overeating. So it's the same thing, and they both it says the same thing in Proverbs about
yeah.
gluttony, eating too much, and drinking too much. And so I
Mm,
think, so I know, so in my mind, I was like, well, if a person drinks, I can't say they're going to hell because drinking. But I think where what I realize is that I think in Paul, like somewhere in the New Testament, I can't remember where, Paul was basically saying if you do anything that causes your brother to sin, basically don't do it. So if for example if I drank, which I don't, but because I did have no desire to, if I had friends who thought it was a problem, I wouldn't be saying, "Hey, I'm drinking a beer," or drinking in front of them,
mm,
or because I wouldn't want to make them stumble, you know. And so I think that's
mm,
my point of view. But I know especially my Pentecostal friends, not my, like I said, not Catholic friends, that's different, or Methodist or Episcopalian. It's the Pentecostal ones and the well, Baptists drink now too, a lot more than they ever did. But Pentecostals, I think, are still in the same way where they kind of they hide what they
mm,
drink, high drinking. I would say that they probably would say that it's wrong, but if they drank, they would drink in private. Tattoos
mm,
is another thing. I didn't even know it was a problem until I would hear people of my generation say, "Did you see so so got a tattoo?" And you know the Bible says you shouldn't do this, and now I'm like, I guess so. It's the whole point is it's not something I thought about doing. So I would have never,
mm,
I would have cared if you did it, who did it. I would have thought it was a big deal. And so I think that I do know that some from my generation feel like it's a way of marking up your body that's not
mm,
biblical. And I actually don't know exactly where that comes from in the Bible because I don't know. But I think what your parents told you was wise, you know, and how if you're doing it, you should be doing it for a purpose, and that you're not, you know, having snakes all up your arm and all, you know, skulls and things like that. And that's to me it's personal, but I don't know if we can biblically support. Now somebody might put in the comment I'm wrong. We can
mm,
really biblically support, you know, that being drinking alcohol is a deadly sin, or getting a tattoo, or even girls getting their ears pierced, because there's also,
mhm,
and some like that's a big deal also. So it's like there's so many things that we use that to say this is our standard of how much we love God, you know. And
yeah.
I think I don't know why. And I told my husband one time that I came to God as a love relationship, meaning he wooed me in love. So I never think about God in standards or like all the
Yeah.
rules. I don't think so. Then I don't understand it. And so, but I know your generation, you guys have tattoos all over the place, Christians. And so I know that you guys have to think differently about this. Because in my generation, if girls or guys get tattoos, it was always in places where you couldn't see them, where
Mm,
you know, it wasn't where you can see it at. But I see them because I'm a musician. Well, I'm not a musician, but I sing, and I watch a lot of videos like you do, and I see a lot of the artists. They all have a lot of them have tattoos, and it's just like it's not a big deal at all. Christian artists, I mean.
yeah.
And so I think I just wanted to know. Like I already knew what you thought because I saw yours. I saw it when I saw it in Facebook, and so I said, should I ask her? I said, yeah, I'm gonna ask her because I'm like, I don't. I think you're the first young person I've ever asked about them, because I
Mm,
really want to know what is the mindset of your generation about tattoos and also drinking. But I think you explained this. So would you say in general your generation say, yeah, it's cool to get tattoos and it's cool to drink?
yeah. Like I think more if I were to say friends that have gotten tattoos, it's kind of been the same mindset of like it means something. Like it's not just for fun or like I'm gonna get a SpongeBob tattoo or whatever because of a bear or anything like that. But it's more like, oh, like a family tattoo or a sibling tattoo, or for example, if my sister, she got one because she kind of struggled with depression, and so she put like, instead of God is greater than my highs and lows, which I have that one, it's like God is greater than my pain. And
Mm,
so when people ask her about that, she put Leviticus. I don't remember the verse exactly, but it's talking about how like you need to, God wants you to choose life instead of death, like
mm,
in the mind of someone who's living through that depression, like there's suicidal thoughts. So it's kind of like that reminder. And so she's able to even share that with people, like when they ask, oh, so like what does that tattoo mean? And so she's able to do that. So I think that's one of the things. And drinking, I think it has to do with like culture, the denomination, and the generation. Because I have Christian friends, like they serve and all that, and then sometimes they put up like a story they're eating and they have like a beer on the side, and it's not like that, like they're not trying to hide it, but they're not trying to expose it either. Like it's like, oh, like I had a meal and a cup of wine or something like that. But it is more the norm than yeah, like, oh, like don't talk about it, or if I'm drinking, it's just like with my family, and I'm gonna try to like not show it if we
Hmm.
take pictures or something like that. But yeah.
I think you're right, and I think yeah, I've listened to a lot of podcasts, and it seems like it's open. Even in my age range, it seems like people will actually mention it, like they'll drop at it, and they're not
Mm,
talking about the drinking part, where it's like they'll just
hmm
because again, it's not a sin to drink. I think it's the being drunk is a thing,
hmm
and I think everything Neelam is. I think when we try to make everything black and white, no pun intended, and we try to make everything so simple, then we miss the middle, the nuances. Meaning,
Yes.
like I wouldn't drink, and I would not advise my son to drink because I grew up in a home where my stepdad was alcoholic, and so
Mm,
I would say no to that, and I would say no. I would suggest a no to him, but that's when he becomes an adult. That's his decision, right? But am I
yes.
saying that it's wrong? Absolutely not. I'm saying for me and from my experience, I would not. I would not get a tattoo because I don't like pain. And I've had a
Mm.
child, and that's enough pain birth for me. Enough birth
Good enough.
pain. That's good. I'm good. But that's I wouldn't say that it's something you're going to go to hell or God's not. That doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. Not pleased about it. It doesn't make sense at all to me. And so I think that's the thing that sometimes that people you and I like people like you and I can see both sides of things where our
hmm
generation sometimes they don't where your generation will say who cares, this is my body, do whatever I want to do with it, where mine would be like this is God's body, you have to honor his body and don't, but yet we'll forget that overeating is also a sin, and we actually die more of heart disease than we do of getting whatever by tattoos or even over drinking. So I think that's where
Yeah.
the disconnect from my generation is that we'll be okay
Mm.
with eating, like in black culture it says they'll say we'll be okay with having fried chicken every Sunday and cornbread and things like that, and then we'll say but no wine. Hello, that's just as bad to your body as drinking a glass of wine, or things like that. So Neil, this has been a very interesting conversation. I think I like to learn from people because
Mm.
several reasons. Because I tend not to be judgmental, and I know there's some things that are black and white, biblically not speaking. I'm saying, but this
Yes.
issue to me is a gray one, and so I always want to know how your generation thinks about this because I actually am raising a son even younger than you. He's 17, he'll be 18 this month. So
Mm.
he's going to think more like you guys think about these things. And so I'm even trying to understand more for my own personal self to know as he entered into this world, and that God is actually the final judge on everything, and that we have the Holy Spirit to lead us and guide us into the truth, what we're supposed to be doing. So this has been a fabulous conversation, and
Mm.
maybe someday I will get a tattoo of a heart, pink one on my shoulder, because I like pink, but probably not because I don't like pain. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining another episode with me and Neelam. We will be back again sometime soon. Bye, guys.